In this video, I will demonstrate how I facet slab glass, also known as a dowel, in preparation for inclusion into a foiled stained glass panel. I strongly urge you to review the safety posts on my website listed above, describing how to protect yourself from the glass chips generated by this process. Eye protection is mandatory throughout the entire process. I will facet a rectangular block of glass 3 1/4 by 1 1/4 inches by 1 inch thick. I will start with a 1/2 inch carbide tipped chisel and a small hammer using my anvil as a base. I will be faceting only the front side of the glass for reasons described on my website. It is important to start not more than 1/4 to 1/3 of the distance back from the front edge of the glass, since if you start further back, the chip generated by the chisel may come off the back rather than the front of the glass, thereby ruining the piece. First, I work all of the way around the block once. I then repeat the process, removing smaller and smaller amounts of glass until I attain the desired thickness appropriate for the effect that I am trying to achieve. As the glass gets thinner, I frequently change to a 3/8 inch chisel, which gives me greater control over how much glass is removed with each stroke, and also reduces the chance that the chip will come off of the back of the block of glass. In order to obtain a very thin edge, 1/4 inch or less, I change to a 1/4 inch chisel, which provides even greater control. When I am satisfied with my initial faceting, I trace 1/2 of the pattern, in this case petal number 2, onto the glass, leaving the lower edge of the block with a flat surface. I then cut the faceted glass following the traced pattern using a 10-inch water-cooled ring saw, which allows me to cut both inside and outside curves, which facilitates the creation of pieces with complex shapes without the need for extensive grinding. Leaving the lower edge of the glass intact facilitates the continued faceting of the glass, since it is still supported on a stable base on the anvil. Then, using a 3/8 or 1/4 inch chisel, I continue to facet the cut edge down to the thickness required for my design. Also, since the glass is still fairly wide at this point and therefore still relatively strong, it is possible to create very thin areas along the edge of the glass. Next, I trace the other half of the pattern onto the glass and again cut it using the ring saw as shown earlier in this video. It is now necessary to facet the freshly cut side and also to do any final faceting required for the piece to be properly fitted into its place in the panel. The final faceting cannot be performed on the anvil since the shape of the piece is now irregular and the glass is prone to break due to the uneven forces resulting from a chisel strike on the irregular surface of the glass supported on the flat surface of the anvil. I have used 2 approaches to this problem. The first is to firmly press the side opposite to the one being faceted into a box containing 2 to 3 inches of sand, which provides support for the entire length of the piece thereby reducing the likelihood of unwanted breakage. Then, using the 1/4-inch chisel, carefully remove the unnecessary glass. This method is somewhat safer but a bit more cumbersome than the following method. The second technique that I employ for the final facetting is to hold the glass and the 1/4-inch chisel in one hand and position the chisel such that I can sequentially remove small chips of glass. It is important to note that the chips often come straight up, so I recommend using a full face shield during this process, which protects both your face and eyes. Sometimes I find it more convenient, depending on the shape of the glass, to hold the glass against my body, in which case I use a sheet of thin cardboard which provides a soft, fairly stable base.